Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be the phone games of the narcissist. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So the phone games of the narcissist, this is one of the main ways they want to keep people stuck and how they want to keep people wasting their time, pining for them, checking their phone, and so many more things. But the smartphone, as I've shared recently, it's essentially a remote control when you are tethered in a narcissistic relationship. They're controlling you by your smartphone. You now know that. Also, the phone games of the narcissist, let's go way back in time before you knew what narcissism was, even before the smartphone, maybe even before the internet. It's up to you. Back then, we had something called decency. We had something called respect. We had something called commitment and honor, and keeping your word and doing the right thing. And that's what most of us did. Now, was narcissism still prevalent back then? Of course. Did we know it? No, we didn't. But once the internet and the smartphone came around, now the narcissist knew that they had a tool, literally the cell phone and the cell phone service, that they could utilize 24/7, 365 days a year. And they figured that out rather quickly, because no longer did the narcissist have to use a rotary phone or a push button phone, this is before internet or smartphones, and call somebody in their neighborhood or in their town and say, hey, I'll meet you tomorrow at this time, and maybe they would ghost that person. But that was a lot of work to do one thing, picking up the phone, getting the person to commit, and then maybe ghost them or whatever they did. Maybe they met up with that person, I can't tell you. But when the smartphone came around, now it was supply central. Ding, ding, ding. Now the narcissist could learn new languages or use apps that speak for them. They now could get supplied 24/7. They now didn't have to stay stuck in their neighborhood or in their town or their jurisdiction. They now could get people on the hook using dating apps, using social media, using language changers, meaning something that will change your language for you. They knew this and they figured it out, and they said, wait a minute, now I can keep so many people stuck, not just one person in the neighborhood before the internet. Now I can keep dozens or hundreds of people stuck thinking about me, pining for me, wondering where I am. And the smartphone or the cell phone is one of the ways that they do this. Now think about what you use the phone for. You use the phone to communicate, probably these days. You use it to look up things and watch videos and research and take notes and maybe figure out your geography or where you are using Starlink or whatever. That's what you're supposed to be using. You're supposed to be using your smartphone for good, not for evil. And you don't keep people stuck on the hook. That's what the narcissist does. They want to keep people tethered to them. They want people thinking about them. They want people staying stuck in that narcissistic fog. And the phone games of the narcissist is just how these things begin. When the narcissist finds somebody, usually what they do is they will try to get that person's phone number or say, hey, here's my link to my social media platform, or here's my website, whatever it is. And then that person, or here's my place of business. Then that person now is intrigued, or they're curious. And what do? They usually check out the person who turns out to be a narcissist. What that person doesn't realize is the narcissist most likely has already studied them or is doing a very, very deep dive on them, seeing if that person, which probably was you, and it certainly was me, is worth the time of the narcissist to invest something into. Once they figure out that that person was worth investing in, again, it was you, it was me, then they say, okay, this is going to be the best source of supply I will have for a period of time. Maybe it'll be a day, a week, a month, a year, a decade, who knows. But once they commit to something, to trying to get somebody stuck in that narcissistic fog or the trauma bond, they really place their energy on that. And one way they do it is the phone games of the narcissist. So think about this. Let's say you met the narcissist, and when you met them, you were texting and getting to know each other, and it was a budding friendship, and friendship went to texting a little too much, and then maybe the narcissist crossed the line and did something that maybe they wanted you to do something and you had never done it before, and next thing you know, here we go, the love bomb is well underway. After all those things, the narcissist started sending you emojis, maybe hearts, maybe kisses, or maybe the dancing emojis, or maybe vacations with an emoji of a plane or a hotel or something, or money or a diamond ring, whatever it was. All of these emojis had a reason behind them. They had a motive behind them. It wasn't because the narcissist was falling in love with you. It wasn't because they wanted to spend time with you and be committed to a reciprocal healthy relationship. They don't know anything about that. They can't do it. What they were doing was planting seeds in your mind, letting you put your guard down more than it was before, using emojis on their smartphone, because these are the cell phone or the phone games of the narcissist, and they're planting seeds. An example would be, let's say back then, the narcissist, and again, you didn't know they were one, say they sent you some emojis of a sun, a beach, and an airline, and a ticket, and money, something like that. Well, then that is a clear indication that you two were planning a trip to go somewhere sunny, most likely, or they were planting a seed saying they didn't have the money, if only you could get them there and they'd have a great time with you. This is how they infiltrate people's lives. This is how they live in people's minds rent-free. Emojis are just one way. Another way they do it is by, in the very beginning of these relationships, you will notice this, they usually want to be on the phone with you, on an audio call, usually, sometimes video, but usually it's an audio call. And then what will happen? You'll be on the audio call with them for a few minutes, and the few minutes turns into 10 minutes, 10 minutes turns into 20, next thing you know, an hour goes by, and then you hang up after an hour and a half, and you say, wow, where did all that time go? That was an amazing conversation, and they like everything I like. They like the same sports teams, they like the same gym, they like the same foods and music. Oh, and they went to the same university as me. This is remarkable. I can't believe I finally met this person. Well, what you didn't know back then was the narcissist was just selling you a song and dance. They probably researched you or were listening to your words and what you were proud of, and they glommed onto those things and assimilated themselves with you after having never even attended university or never even gone to or listened to the music that you liked to or anything. They were just trying to make it seem like they were close to you. So what did you do? Well, then after you hung up the phone, you probably texted them, or maybe they texted you maybe an hour or so after that hour and a half phone call took place. And then one of the two of you texted each other and said, hey, talk to you tomorrow, it'll be great. And then what you did probably was you were super excited and you were very naive and vulnerable. So you probably told them, yeah, looking forward to it. It was a great conversation. I had so much fun. I'm super excited about it. We have so much to talk about. Well, notice how I just talked right there. I talked kind of quickly and I unpacked probably 4 or 5 sentences in, 10 seconds. The narcissist was watching your words. They were watching your expressions. They were listening to what you were saying, and they were reading between the lines. And they were saying in that case, wow, I have a live one that's almost on the hook here. Wow, what do I do? Okay, I need to reinforce my work that I did tonight on that phone call. I will call them tomorrow, but I won't just call them tomorrow in the evening like I usually do. What I'll do is I'll text them in the morning and say something like this: thinking of you. It was a great conversation. Missing you. I am so excited to talk to you. Maybe I can call you during your lunch break, something like that. And then you, again, you were naive and vulnerable. You didn't know what narcissism was. You're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This person, they're not disappearing like everybody else did, and they're not saying something and disappearing. They're actually back, and they're doubling down and telling me how much they care about me and how much they want to learn about me. Well, again, you didn't know this person was a predator, an apex predator, but now you're learning, or you know it. Anyway, the day goes by, they text you or call you, or maybe they don't, and then the evening rolls around. And now what did you do? Now you did not go to the gym like you usually did. You didn't go go to the store and buy your favorite food because you were in a hurry to get back home, because you wanted to wait for that phone call that, let's say, was supposed to take place at 7, and you were all excited. This was going to be the highlight of your day. Now remember, this is only the second or third time you ever talked to them. For this video, let's say it's the second time. Well, what happened? You waited, and then boom, like clockwork, at 6:59 they call, and you are elated. You're over the moon. They called you, and they're actually talking to you, and they're lathering you up and love bombing you and listening to you and adoring you and showering you with fake everything they possibly can. But you didn't know this. So now you're telling them more and more about who you are and what your relationships were, your education and background, your money, your parents, your siblings, where you lived, and everything else. And now you're just letting it all out because you're an open book and you're a high-level empath, and you didn't know that narcissism existed. Well, in between there, the narcissist was saying a few things in there to drag this conversation out longer, to lure you down, to tell them more and more about yourself. And next thing you know, that an hour and a half conversation that took place last night, now you're talking 2.5, 3 hours. And now you're like, wow, I really need to get going. I have work tomorrow. I think we should hang up. But you don't want to because you're having fun. And they know this, and they're listening to you, and they're saying, okay, I just really want to get off this phone, but I need to love bomb this person. So 3 hours tonight, an hour and a half last night, and I'll put those under the hours for this person and see how much I have to invest in them. And then boom, they say, okay, hey, I'll talk to you tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to it. Again, a little bit of the love bomb. Now you're really excited. You're really lathered up. You haven't hit the gym in 3 days, you're not eating that well, and you're checking your phone every 10 minutes, seeing if they're texting you or calling you. And then again, 7 o'clock rolls around after work that night. And now this time they don't call you at 6:59. Now they call you at about 7:15, 7:20. What happened there is now you just wasted or waited 20 minutes of your life. And they knew that. They did this intentionally and deliberately because they now knew they had you on the hook. Then they call you and you say, hey, is everything okay? The last few days you called me, you were on time. I don't understand why you're calling me so late, but I hope you're okay. And they say, oh yeah, I was stuck in traffic, or the boss wanted me to do more work, or I had to do something, pay a bill, or I had to borrow money from somebody, whatever they said. Now, you just wasted 20 minutes of your time, but you're still willing to talk to them. That conversation goes another 2.5 or 3 hours. Now you're really learning about them because they flipped it on you. Now they're telling you their sob story, their song and dance, and that they have no money, they're a victim, they had a tough childhood, that they were possibly abused, and that all these things. Now you're listening to them, but because you shared with them what you authentically told them about you, now they're trying to compare their fakeness with you to have you fall into thinking about them. See, they're going tit for tat for you. They let you run, and once they learned as much as they needed to, now they ran and sold you that bill of goods. After that happened, now the phone hangs up, and then you're excited. You're like, wow, they really told me all about them. This is amazing. Now you cannot get enough of this person. And this version, or this example, is probably a little quicker than it usually happens, but something like this did happen to you, or it has happened to you, or you know someone that it did happen to. Next thing you know, a week or two goes by, and now you two are now in a routine. You're texting every morning, good morning, I miss you, thinking of you, every night before you go to bed. And then now these phone calls that used to be 3 hours, they're now being dialed back a little bit, maybe to 2, 1 hour and a half. And now the time frames are not being adhered to by the narcissist, which means they were calling you at 7 o'clock on the dot. Now they're calling you at 7:45, 8:15, 6:30, anything but 7 on purpose. Now you don't know what's going on. You're going around and around like a yo-yo, up and down, or on a roller coaster. You don't know what's going on. And you're saying, hey, can't you keep your word? Like you were keeping your word before. What happened? Well, now they know they have you on the hook. Now they know the dirty fangs are sunken into, and now you have been love bombed. Boom. These are the phone games of the narcissist. Well, what happens? Maybe now you go on a vacation with them. Let's say it was Punta Cana for a weekend. And next thing you know, you're there. And what are they doing? Well, they're on that trip with you in Punta Cana, and it was on your dime. You took time off from work, but they are triangulating you with complete strangers. They are not spending time with you. There is no togetherness. There is nothing but we have to do this, 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 this. Now you're on the run, and now you have just been love bombed, but now it's on your dime. You're in a different country on what was supposed to be a getaway weekend with the two of you. Well, see, now it's too late. Now you're in a different place, and now they are on their phone talking with other people who perhaps could be old sources of supply, and they probably were. They potentially could be other sources of supply that they were grooming when they were trying to groom you, and it could be other people that they were talking to, but they weren't talking with you. And then let's say you went to that vacation for 3 days. Well, in the morning you would wake up and they'd be gone. They'd be at the breakfast buffet. In the evenings, they would turn in early. And during the day, you wouldn't be spending time with them together and learning about each other. They would be wanting to go all over the island and going here, there, everywhere, doing all these things because they were trying to keep you busy, busy, busy while they were burning you out and while they were on their phone with other people. These are examples, and if they click with you, please drop comments below. Fast forward. Next thing you know, the friendship turns to romance. The romance turns into moving in together. After moving in together, because you're now on the hook, now the wedding bells have rung, and here we go. Now you relocated somewhere. Let's say it's to a different state or jurisdiction or country, and now the narcissist has you isolated. And now what are they doing? Well, you're going to work, working 9 to 5. They're probably in the gym working on their body, getting ready for your replacement a couple years down the road. Or maybe they're building a business behind the scenes that you never knew about, or maybe you thought that it was going to be the two of your business, but it was their business, and they were squirreling away their money and some of your money while you were burning through your money, but you were getting burnt out because when you were at work now, on your 9 to 5 job, now you're texting them in the morning or the afternoon or the evening, and you're getting nothing. You're getting 2 blue check marks and no response. And then you call them and you say, hey, what's going on? What do we want for dinner? What do you want? Well, should I pick something up? And they say, you figure it out. We'll talk to you later. Got to go. Click. Bye. And they hang up on you. And now you're saying, what happened? It was just only a year ago when I first met this person. They were so loving and kind and caring, and they were committed and they answered the phone. Well, now you didn't know this, but now you've been officially trapped in the narcissistic fog. You're being devalued and you're working for that relationship, but you didn't even know what you were working for because you didn't know they were a narcissist. Having said that, the more you text them or call them, the less they answer, the more they hang up on you, or the more they act like their battery was dead, or they didn't have cell reception, or they were in a meeting, or they were spending time with a trainer, wink, wink. Who knows where they were, what they were doing, but when they weren't with you, you will never know where they were. But now your phone, which you used to use in a stable, healthy way, the way you probably use it right now your phone has been a remote control and you can't turn the off button. You don't know how to turn it off because now you're thinking about this person. You're wondering where they are, who they're with, what they're doing, and they know what they're doing. You see, they've just cycled through you, even though, let's say for this example, you're married to them and maybe it's only year one after you've been married, who knows? But you're still being cycled through because now they know they have you on the hook. They know you're going nowhere. And these are the phone games of the narcissist. So let's say it's a Friday, you go home after work, and let's say you're excited, you're gonna have a weekend, just you and the narcissist. Again, you didn't know they were one. You're excited, you get home, you buy the food, you get all the flowers and whatever else you do, and guess what? They say, hey, I'm stuck, I can't get out, I got a flat tire and I'm 2.5 hours away, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it tonight. And you're like, what are you talking about? Why are you 2.5 hours away? And can't you get a mechanic to fix the tire? And what is going on here? I don't get it. Well, what you didn't know is they weren't 2.5 hours away. They were probably right down the street at the new supplies house or someone else's house or at a place that they shouldn't have been at, but they're claiming wherever they were is where they were. So now your weekend, specifically your Friday night's blown up. And now they tell you, wait, I gotta go because the phone battery's running low. I don't have any service, and then they hang up. Now again, this is Friday night at let's say 7, 8 o'clock at night. Well, now they've just gone off the radar, but it's intentional. You didn't know it. And now they're off doing whatever they want to do. And now these are the phone games of the narcissist. Think about what I'm sharing. They had you. They got you on the hook. They began to devalue you. They began to use you as built-in supply. They pulled back as soon as they knew they had you. And as soon as they knew that they had you and you wouldn't figure it out, they began to look for your replacement, knowing that you were going nowhere. It's almost as if you were in quicksand and you couldn't get out, and you were falling lower and lower in the quicksand, and they knew that, and they were watching you go under more and more and more. And they were saying, okay, well, eventually you won't be above ground, so you're gonna just fade away. And that could be the discard, or it could be something worse. I hope you read between the lines, not trying to upset you or trigger you. But what do? They get a new supply, and they start that cycle all over again. Those are the phone games of the narcissist, and I just barely touched on them. I mentioned the texting, I mentioned the being hung up on, I mentioned when they claim there's no cell phone service, I mentioned how you went from friendship to romance, from romance to wedding bells, from wedding bells to being devalued. I mentioned how the new supply was probably in your neighborhood or your town, you didn't even know about it. This is why these people don't change. This is why they only deteriorate over time, and this is why you need to get off the radar of these people as soon as you possibly can, if not now, when. So everyone, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning. No matter where you are on the planet, you are not alone. And remember, I've created so many videos, the waiting games of the narcissist, the pining games of the narcissist, the phone games of the narcissist, the texting games of the narcissist. I've created so much content on all the games the narcissist plays. You didn't know what they were doing, that what they were doing was intentional, but now you do. And you also know these people are sinking ships. Stop playing the game. Remove yourself. Become the educated empath and get off the radar of these people and let them slither away. They will never change or introspect or improve. They only deteriorate, and they took the best of you and they left you nothing but a relationship you need to heal from. And that's why the phone games of the narcissist will continue on and on and on until there's a new way we communicate, which isn't a cell phone. And believe me, that day's coming quicker and quicker, because phones will not be around in the near future, or in the future I should say. But whatever that device is, or however that method of communication is, the narcissist will figure that thing out. The difference is you will figure it out as they are figuring it out, because now you are becoming awakened and aware, educated and empowered, and you know that you are the priority. You come first, second, and third. I love you all. God bless you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Bye.